to Relentless Talk Radio. We have just one segment today, one long extended segment. I'm talking with Laurel Roach today from TriFit Wellness. And so we're going to have a long, in-depth conversation about health and wellness, and then we'll close it up with some closing comments I have about restarting. So, Laurel, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thanks for having me, by the way.
Thanks for making time.
Absolutely. So my name's Laurel. I am the owner of TriFit Wellness in Phoenix, and we are a personal training studio, nutrition, and we do corporate wellness. So yeah.
Now you actually started out in corporate America, right?
I did.
And decided that you wanted to make a leap into fitness, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, fitness was always my passion. It's always what I loved, and I helped in corporate America. I helped a lot of the team that worked for me lose weight, and we would do little challenges and fun things. But I always did it for free, just because I believe in it. And you know, it came a time when I was working like 70 hours a week, and it just was totally overwhelming. And it was my husband's idea too. He's like, man, you're doing all this stuff anyway. Why don't you just buy a business instead? And so we looked at a lot of different things and just kind of found this one, and right time and place kind of thing. So
the why for you is really, you just one of those people like myself that just believes in health and fitness, and it's just what you do anyway. So is that why you do it?
Yeah. And I think, you know, TriFit's been here, I think since 2003, I want to say. And it was a boutique studio when there was just a lot of big box gyms everywhere. And so the original owners sort of, I think, were the pioneers doing that small group training type of thing, when there really was not a lot of that out there. There were not classes. There wasn't the Orange Series of the world, none of that. And so they really perfected that model, I mean, over a decade ago. And I've just seen the market really change over the last, I would say probably a little less than a year, to where it's so saturated with every other, just so many options for fitness.
Yeah.
And people don't really know what to do. They're like, oh, there's bar and there's yoga and there's CrossFit, and they don't really understand fitness in general and what kinds of things to do. So they're just trying a bunch of stuff and not really having the best results. And so I really felt the biggest need was in corporate. So that's sort of the direction we've taken things recently.
So you're working with corporations to kind of embed health and wellness into their culture.
Exactly. There's just some crazy statistics. I don't know if you're in this space too, but 60% of Americans are overweight and obese. 60%. It's crazy. And so I was reading a statistic the other day that that is growing so quickly that in the next 5 years, they're projecting 40% of U.S. Americans to have diabetes. So it's about 10% are diabetic right now. It'll be 40%, almost half the people that you and I know will be diabetic taking medications in the next 5 years. So in traditional healthcare, if you go see your doctor and you are overweight, up until that point where you have diabetes, they're really not treating you for anything. They might say, you need to, hey, I'd suggest you cut down on the soda. I'd suggest you start exercising. But for someone that's never done that before in their entire life, it's the trajectory, like they just keep getting sicker and sicker, and nothing ever really happens until they hit that diabetes diagnosis, and then it's just medication. So I really wanted to do something where it's preventative healthcare, and we're going in and like really teaching people that like this does not have to be how they have to live. It doesn't have to be some crazy restrictive diet, and just like teaching them the basic in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming, Well,
I do know. And, I'll tell you, I started my personal training company when I was 16. And then it was just the love of fitness, When I came out here, I had reignited my company and got injured. And just recently have been pulled back into the industry for, just what you're talking about. I just see so many of my friends still struggling. So every time I would post a photo shoot, my PM would blow up saying, what are you doing and how can I do that? So I started to incorporate health
Yeah.
and fitness back into Relentless Talk Radio specifically to have conversations like this to get people to experience a variety of different types of health and wellness professionals so they could kind of get
Yeah.
more acclimated with the different types of things that were out there and personalities, quite frankly, because if you're going to do personal training with somebody, you kind of have to dig them because you're going to be with them 3 or 4 times a week. You know, if you don't like their personality, you don't see their personality as something that the person you want to hang out with. And this is kind of a way for personal trainers like yourself to get out there and kind of talk about who they are and their brand and what they're about. So what do you think the biggest lesson that you've learned over the past couple of years about running a health and wellness company? Because that's what you have. You're a business person, you're a personal trainer and a health professional, but you're a business. What's the biggest lesson you've learned?
Well, I came in with a little bit of a unique perspective, I think, than most people because I was running basically a business before I bought TriFit. So totally different industry, but I had 220 employees, was responsible for our P&L, was responsible for sales and marketing and operations. And so I came in to TriFit, and it was just a small studio that had two basically semi-absentee owners back to back before I bought it. And there were no processes on anything. There was nothing. So I think one area, just it actually benefited me that I didn't come in to this business as a personal trainer. I came in as a business owner and ran it like a business. So, there just wasn't anything that it sounds bad. Like I didn't come in and just like heads are going to roll, anything like that.
Right.
But they were mopping in the middle of the afternoon. There was no one tracking sales. There was no process for retention, like nothing like that. So I think that actually benefited me not coming in and being a trainer on the floor and just coming in and running the business. So I think that was one thing kind of to note. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
It totally makes sense. Hey, do me a favor and bring your camera down a little bit so we can see more of your face.
Bring it down?
The Be Live camera, there's like a banner on the bottom, so that's good. We can see all of your face now. That's awesome. You're kind of into it as we talk. So I think that doctors and attorneys and massage therapists and artists and a lot of people who learn like a specific trade don't learn the business piece. But I think that the people that do well in any business that is a trade orientated kind of business are the ones that learn that they are business people or are business people when they come in. So I think that's an interesting perspective from where you come from. And I think also makes you an interesting person to hire as a wellness professional for a company because you get what their bottom lines are about, right? You get what a good company is looking at.
Sure. And I think also, we just started working with a law firm, doing corporate health for them. And, I've been in those, I'm not an attorney, but I've been in those individual spots where they are, they're trying their darndest to manage a huge caseload, their families, kids, they're working long hours, and sometimes their health and fitness just gets pushed absolute last.
A lot of times.
I've been in that situation, working a lot of hours with a lot of responsibility and doing all of that. And for me, I think it's always come down to where you place your values. So my top value is my health. And I just know that if I'm not taking care of me, you've heard the term, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? I know I won't be the best boss. I won't be the best for my clients, for my kid, for my husband, anything, if I'm not taking care of me. And I think that's kind of the shift I try to make with our corporate clients is just, okay, you might say you don't have time for this, but this is everything.
Yeah.
This is the cornerstone of everything else that you're doing, and get them to make that shift, I think is important,
So when I was when I was in grad school, got my master's in administration, I was working for a company called IDX Systems Corporation, which is now GE Healthcare. And I developed a wellness program for that company that won an award from the state of Vermont for well site excellence 2 years in a row. And one of the things that I know about
Cool.
programming is that it's actually good business. For every dollar that you spend on wellness, it comes back to you twofold in other areas of your business. So if you have happier, healthier employees, you have less sick time, they use their health benefits less, they show up and they're more productive. And so actually for every dollar that you spend, you actually get $2 to $3, depending upon the research study that you read, back. And
Right.
so if you're just looking at this purely from a business perspective, never mind the human perspective, just purely from money well spent from a business perspective, wellness programming and corporate wellness and fitness within your organization, supported fitness in your organization, is just really smart money. Smart money for a good business.
Yeah. And I think, Michelle, I think what I've seen, I've spent the last 6 months interviewing a lot of CEOs, interviewing business brokers that deal in employee benefits, just to understand, healthcare has changed a lot in the last few years. And just understanding like what programs are out there, what's being offered, and what's working well and not working well. And the problem is everything you're saying is super true. It's hard to prove.
Right.
It's hard for the employer to know I'm going to spend, $50,000 on a wellness program, and what the heck ROI am I going to get out of it? So what I really try to do is have that quantifiable data, have the numbers to be able to show. We have a software that we use in technology to where I can show the employer the aggregate data of, we had, out of 100 employees, we have this participation rate, we've lost this much weight as a group, we've lost this much body fat, because then they know it's working.
Right.
If they have claims data, I like to get all that up front so we can measure from one year to the next. Like, that's where the money's at, because if you can prove it to them, they'll keep doing it. I think
Absolutely.
one of our wellness clients, I mean, they've been with us for like 8 years or something. They're like, okay, this is working. Like, we'll keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
If you have people that are less, their BMIs are healthy, then they're showing up less for all kinds of things like gastrointestinal stuff and heart things and diabetes and all those things. It's just kind of a no-brainer. But you're right. Unless you show a company the data, then they can't justify from a business perspective spending the money. So for you,
like, oh, that sounds great. How do I prove it?
Right. Yeah, prove it to me, right? So my topic today that I've been thinking about is getting into flow, and you and I talked a little bit about that before we got on this interview. I've been really working on pruning my offerings, my services, where I'm spending my time, so I can work like human hours as opposed to superhuman hours. I've been known to work about 100 hours a week, right? This is what happens when you're an entrepreneur. 120 when I'm in the middle of an art project. So I've been really working on two things. One is pruning down to the essential, what I need to do that's revenue generating and has the most impact in my business, and also getting myself into a state of flow so I can be more productive. Can you describe a time for me, both personally and professionally, where you've gotten yourself into flow?
Yes, and I was thinking about this because you had asked me that question, and one of the things I didn't tell you, I took went to a learning event one time, and I'll forget the name of his company. Andy Bailey, if you look him up. He's got a company, it's called No Try Life or something like that. But it was such a great conference that I went to. And he actually talks about this. He calls it his flow list, his daily flow list. And so in a little journal, I'm a big journaler. That's like the one, I would say, morning routine, meditation, all of that I do, visualization. So kind of my personal thing is my morning routine. That's a big one for me to get into that state of flow is I do at least 5 minutes of meditation in the morning. And with that, it could be anything from just like counting. So I'm giving my brain a break, just counting up to 10 and then back again, just very mindless, or I'll do a visualization technique. Where I'm visualizing the result that I want. For some, it could be a project, it could be revenue, It could be personally, like anything. I will visualize what I want that result to manifest in my life, and I get really specific. Like, what am I wearing? What does it feel like? Like all of that. It sounds a little weird, but that's what I do. So that, and then I have my journaling exercise, and it's what I'm grateful for. 3 things I'm grateful for, and what I need to do that day. I am notorious for putting like 5 million things on my list and then feeling like crap about myself that I didn't get them all done because I put way too much on the list.
Yeah.
So just what's one thing that will make the day successful if I do it? Like not 10 things, one thing. And then, I have my side list for all the other stuff to kind of work through as I have time. But
Have you read the One Thing?
what?
Have you read the book, The One Thing?
I've heard of it. It's on my list. I haven't gotten that one yet.
Yeah,
But
it basically talks about that same premise. Like, what's the one thing that you can do that significantly can impact your business today?
yeah. But in regards to like what you're talking about with flow, Andy Bailey talks about this flow list. And if you think about the 10 things that you do that make you feel amazing on a daily basis,
Right.
For me, I know what they are, and if I don't sleep, I am a nightmare. So
Yeah.
I have a little symbol,
Yeah.
and it's an 8 for 8 hours of sleep. Journaling. I J is my symbol for journaling, and I have 4 or 5 things that I need to do every day. Exercise is another one. E is my symbol. So when I journal at the end of the night,
Excuse me.
I put a note there of what my symbols were. Did I do, 4 to 5 of my flow, the things that really make me feel good? And I'll tell you, when I don't do it, it's very apparent. Okay, you didn't meditate today. You didn't sleep well. You didn't do your exercise. Like
Yeah.
there was something that was out of my norm. So that's what I would say personally. And then in terms of like professionally, I think one thing that's really big is time blocking. I'm still working on this, but I think most entrepreneurs are overly ambitious about what we can get done in a certain amount of time. And
Every day.
so,
Yeah.
for example, you have a meeting, there's going to be action items after that meeting, right? But do you
Mm-hmm.
ever set more time on your calendar for the stuff you're going to have to do as a follow-up to the meeting? Like I still struggle with this. So it's like I'll have an hour and a half blocked off my calendar for some strategy meeting. There's all this good information that comes of it, and then I don't think to like block time. So that's, I think, really important. We can't ping pong from like activity to activity and be productive. That's a big one,
The
I
other
think,
thing
in
is,
regards
like,
to flow.
I forget to schedule in bio breaks and just time to get from point A to point B. I mean, I've learned to schedule in, like, I need to have 15 minutes of like just go have a cup of coffee, because when you work for someone else, they give you a break, and so okay, I got to take a break now, right? But
Right.
it was in an employee standpoint. Like, I work for GoDaddy, they gave me a break. I knew it was time to get up, go to the ladies' room, get a cup of coffee, take a deep breath, go for walk, move a little bit, But when you're an entrepreneur,
Right.
you can get those blinders on about do, and I
Right.
knew that I had to start pruning my schedule when the past couple months I haven't been able to go to the ladies' room without turning the faucet on so that I could pee on the phone. Nobody could know I was peeing. They thought I was just running the water. Like, you're
Oh my
too busy
gosh.
when you do that.
Too much.
That's
Too
too much,
much.
right?
Yep.
And I, it would be
Yep.
with somebody that knew me, right? And I would joke and say, I just want to let you know, now we're really friends. I've had to pee during this conversation. That's too busy when you haven't got time to take a bio break and pee.
Oh, you're preaching. If I showed you my calendar is color coordinated,
Right.
with like 5 different colors, and it is like back to back to back. So it's a constant work in progress. But I think, for me, I think the first step is like having that awareness about yourself.
Yeah.
And awareness is everything. If you can see your behaviors and recognize, like, oh man, like when I had that really crazy day where I did not feel like I was showing up as my most authentic self.
Right.
I wasn't, I was snappy with my partner or with my kid or whatever. I was rushed with my employees. You can recognize that and be like, okay, what do I need to do differently next time? I don't think a lot of people even have that awareness. They just kind of go through their life on autopilot. So that's something I try to do is just, and with the journaling, that check-in at the end of the day, like, okay, how did I show
There
up
we go.
today? Like, how
Yeah.
was I with my family? Was I productive? Was I happy throughout the day? Was I grateful? Like, just kind of that check-in. The journaling is huge for me. So,
In fact, like there's a painting of mine behind me. That's a journal entry. So
oh,
I
cool.
always write a story and then I do a drawing with it. And that's just the way I make art. It actually stems from my journal. But one of the things that I've been really aware of is making sure that I give myself enough time to get into flow. Because you can't just, I have so many things that I've been doing that I've been flip-flopping so often that it would take me 15 minutes to be able to get to the point where I could even have the thought completely. And then I've got half an hour to like drill something out, and that's just like not enough time. So I've been working on, okay, these are the 4 areas that I'm focusing on, and these are the giant, 3-hour, 2-hour chunks of time where I can focus on that. Because if I just give myself 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there to do big chunky projects, and I find that my head is flipping back and forth between too many things, and I never get completely into that status of flow. So I'm really working on restructuring my life where I am pruning, so and I'm reestablishing how I'm time blocking so I can more consistently get into flow.
Right. And the other thing I think is important to note is, we really do have like decision-making fatigue. And that's why, I mean, from a health and fitness standpoint, that's why a lot of people overeat at night, because by the time they get home and they've had to like the bag of chips or whatever's there, and they're just like, screw it,
Sometimes when I'm working with people, they'll be critical of how long it takes for me to get to actually do the project. And I'll go, wait, just wait. Because what I'm doing is I'm putting all the processes and templates in place so I can copy and paste, and then I'm hyper productive. So
you're building the framework.
So I'm not like rewriting every email. I'm not rewriting the text. I'm every, direction. I'm not just retyping every single time. It takes time, but it's also takes brain energy, right?
Taxing mentally. Exactly. And I think I've realized too that my most productive time, like before 9 in the morning. I'm up at 5, getting stuff done before 9, and then the rest of my day, I've learned when I'm in my, it looks like I'm like in a prison cell right now, like in my office. But when I'm here at the studio, I used to get really frustrated that I wasn't more productive. I wasn't getting more done. But I sort of shifted and realized, like, I'm not here every day. When I'm here, my clients want to say hi. Like, people are chatty. I want to talk to my team. They're confiding things in me, what's going on in their personal lives, those kinds of things. That is my job.
Right.
That is my job.
You want to say, hey, I know you're having that thing that's going on in your life. Hang on, I've only got 2 minutes time blocked for this, so go.
Right. I mean, that is where the relationships and the culture and all those things are formed. And I used to look at it like, I didn't get all my stuff done. Well, that's where I really, like, my value was felt that day, because my employee felt heard. My customer felt like I give a crap about them, not just their membership fee that's coming in. You know what I mean? So that's another shift too, as far as like, when you're running a business and you're trying to build a culture, whatever you want to build the culture around. It can't all be productivity and the numbers and all this stuff. It's much more relational than that.
Yeah, I don't want it to be human doing, which is one of the reasons why I'm pruning out a lot of the things that I'm doing and focusing on some key areas, is because I want to be able to slow down, work regular.
And you can't do it all.
You just can't do it all. I don't know who said it. You can have everything, it's not all at once.
Right.
So it kind of leads into the question about, so you're a wife, you're a mother, you're a business owner. How do you balance all that? I mean, that's an awful lot to balance. I mean, I never could figure out how to have children and be this crazy entrepreneur, so I chose not to have them. But you have a 5-year-old at home. I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. I won't lie to you and say that there are not days. I mean, I question myself all the time. But I think at the end of the day, I reassure myself. I again, with the journaling, my daughter is growing up in North Scottsdale with every privilege and luxury that she could possibly have at her disposal. If she saw mom going to the gym and hanging out at home watching the Real Housewives with a glass of wine at 3 p.m., or she sees me, I don't know, she sees the things that I do. She sees the things that I do. Talking with my clients, working with my employees, going in on the weekend, like doing hard things. She sees all that stuff. Kids are very perceptive. So today, I mean, I'll be at the gym here until maybe 7:30 or 8 o'clock tonight, and she is not happy with me. But I, my hope is that as she gets older, that's something that she'll admire about me, even though in her young age, kids are designed to be selfish. I mean, at 5, their whole world is them. That's all they know.
Right.
So that response is very natural for them to just me, 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 me. But when she gets older, I hope that she would, when she talks about me, like, my mom was always such a hard worker. She always was a giver. She, that's kind of the legacy that I want to leave. And I want to instill that same work ethic in her. I don't think there's enough female leaders out there because we put ourselves last. We give in to all of that. I have to be the perfect wife. I have to do everything for my husband. I have to do everything for my kids. Well, you might have a bigger impact on the world if you stopped being such a people pleaser and thought about what was the best use of your talents and energy and God-given gifts, And so that's what I think about. Like, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she was amazing. Like, that's where her calling, I think, was with us. Like, she was super happy doing it. And we had an amazing childhood. I don't feel like that's where my calling is, to be at home playing Barbies.
Yeah.
It is for certain periods of the day, but I will make a bigger impact and difference in the world doing what I'm doing now.
We had this conversation a little bit before we started the interview as well. I grew up in a bicycle shop in Vermont. My mom and dad worked those 120 hours a week that I work. What they taught me was a work ethic, and and they've taught me. I'm telling your daughter's story on the other side of it, I guess. My mom and dad taught me how to be a survivor and a MacGyver.
Yeah.
A survivor MacGyver, right? That I can push when I have to. But they also taught me, when it's smart to pull back and take time. That time does pass. So there's that balancing between showing up for your life authentically as an entrepreneur, and then, knowing that being a mom is the most important job you're going to have, like kind of balancing out your two important jobs. My parents, we were always together. And my brother needed my dad to throw a ball to him. He wanted that one-on-one thing. To me, if I was sitting on my dad's lap while he was balancing the books and I was coloring, we were together. Right. So I can't tell you how many times in my life that has made my life so much easier, because I don't need to have my hand held through life. I can make the best with what I've got and let the people in my life kind of be who they are. So your daughter will learn the very valuable lessons from watching you. I see you. Do you see me? We've lost internet connection. So let's see if we can grab her back. Oh, we had such great things to talk about. Yay, you're still there. Hey, look at that.
Oh, I don't know what happened. I can see myself, but I lost you.
How dare the internet die on us? It's got some nerve. Isn't it funny? This Be Live thing has been like a little test in kind of we are in literally separate areas of the valley right now. You could be in Istanbul, I could be in China, and we're talking on Facebook Live. So every once in a while, the internet doesn't cooperate. It's too funny.
I know, it's all good.
I appreciate your perspective about being a mother and working very hard. I think it's super smart what you're doing. I think
the other thing too is just man, we have to be easier on ourselves, and
Yeah.
like self-love, you are going to suck. Like in any given week, I am going to
A
let
lot.
someone down.
Yeah.
I'm going to let someone down. I'm going to drop the ball. I'm going to forget something. My
Yeah.
daughter's going to be pissed at me today, but tomorrow she's going to love me because I'm going to go and have lunch with her. And just that balancing act of some weeks are not going to be this perfectly balanced, even. They're just not. Life is
I
messy,
haven't
and
had
being
one week
okay
like
with
that
that.
ever. I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
when you think about it, that's why I named this talk show Relentless Talk Radio. And that's why I
it's
show
relentless.
myself making mistakes, looking exhausted, having no makeup on, and then I do the photo shoot with my hair and makeup and eyelashes, and I'll be posting something tomorrow from last week, or, I've been, photoshopped, and, I'm doing that part of the marketing deal. But, you
Right,
can't walk around with full makeup, false eyelashes, and like just the right light hitting you every second. You know what I mean? That's not
right,
reality. You know what I mean? I don't want to
right.
be that person who doesn't leave the house without their makeup on. So I named the show
And that
Relentless
is
Talk Radio because this is what being relentless looks like, right?
right. And that's the perception in fitness too, by the way. There's so much that is photoshopped and fake and whatever, and the ideals that people think they need to live up to. I'm like, dude, a lot of this shit is fake.
Yeah.
A lot of it is in our industry. So just do the things. I tell our clients this, like, do the things that make you feel good, that fuel your soul. If you don't like weight training, okay, I think there's a million benefits of it. I love it. But if that's not your jam, go find something you love and make it a lifestyle. Make it something that makes you happy. Stop trying to be like this person that's doing, their life's totally different than you.
They have their body moves. I mean, everybody's body is different too. I mean, someone, and I say this a lot. Someone said, "Michelle, what's the best workout?" I said, "The one you'll do."
Yeah,
Whether you're dancing or you're doing aerobics or bar, or you like weight training, you like doing stuff with the ball, you like kettlebells, you like to go horseback riding. You got to find something that really like gets you excited about moving. Because if you're not excited, you're simply not going to do it, and you're going to be one of those 60% of the people or 40% of the people that are getting diabetes because they're not moving. Yeah, I mean, you have
right.
to get up and start doing something that gives you
Consistent is
some
better
relief.
than perfect.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we talked about being a visionary, and about what that looks like. Tell me your thoughts about being a visionary and about trusting your intuition.
Well, I think one of the best books I've ever read, for those of you who are listening or watching, business books, is Traction.
I haven't read that
Um,
one
I use a lot of the systems and the processes in that book. It's really easy to follow kind of at any level, whether it's just you, or you have a couple employees, or to a bigger organization. But he talks about in the book the role of either a visionary or an integrator, and entrepreneurs can be one or the two.
yet.
Usually, I find they're visionaries. We're the people that have all the ideas. We want to change the world in some way. We're changing stuff all the time, that kind of thing. And you need those big ideas. Those people are very valuable, but you also need what they call the integrator, is the follow through person, the person that's going to stop us from being so crazy and be like, okay, that idea sounds great, but let's just table that for now. We're over here doing this. And they keep you kind of on track, keep you focused, make you follow through on your commitments, those kinds of things. So I think identifying in yourself like which one you are first is really important. And I've realized like that's definitely me, the visionary person. I see something and I immediately want to improve it. I'm like, wow, what's going on with that? Or we could do this or this idea. And so trusting my gut and my intuition with hiring, with firing, um,
Huge.
I don't know. I would labor on these things emotionally and mentally when I knew the right decision all along. Somebody would come in and I would feel like I was being judgmental, like, well, why aren't they? Maybe I'm just, they're just not like me, and that's why I'm not vibing with them. No, I knew there was something just a little bit off every single time down the road. I'm like, why didn't I just listen to myself? Like I knew it.
You could talk
So I
about
think
that with
intuition is huge.
marriages, hiring people, friendships, jobs. You know, I mean, there's a book that I read that says that when she married someone, she said it should have been like a one night stand. Like I knew that, but I married him. You know, and I think we do that with
Yeah.
employees, we do that with jobs, we do that with all kinds of commitments that we make, and we get into them, and we're like, God, you know, why I hate blah blah blah. Why am I doing blah blah blah? Whatever, fill in the blank.
And
Right?
you know why I think a lot of people do it?
I,
Because they don't have enough of that quiet reflection time to actually sit and think about what the hell they want out of their life, who's involved, like who's in their life.
yeah.
Are those the right people? Is this what I want to be doing? Am I happy? Like they're not thinking about those things. It's just like mindless. Like I just go to work, do my thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that quiet reflection time is really important. Things will just come to me and I'm like, that's a great idea. I don't know. It's
You ever
important.
find
We have to
yourself
give ourselves those times.
you ever find yourself in a position where you realize, wow, I'm forcing this. Like I'm jerry rigging this. I'm forcing it. I'm trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It has taken so much energy for me to get this one little thing doing what I want it to do that I haven't got energy for other things. I am literally like, I refuse to give up on this. And then you take a step back from it and you go, wait a minute, is this really in alignment what gives me joy? I mean,
Right.
why am I forcing this? I recently had a situation where I pulled back from something. It was kind of like mid-conversation. It was a series of conversations. And the last conversation, I just kind of looked at the person and I went, wow, you know, I don't mean to be insulting. And I just really hit me like a freight train. Like this conversation is a colossal waste of my time and yours. You know what I mean? Like, and he started laughing, and I started laughing. We both knew it was true. You know what I mean? Like it was. I wasn't saying it like in a disrespectful or in a screw you kind of way. I was just saying it in a, I am no longer in alignment with this system that I'm trying to fit into, and so I need to remove myself from it for the good of the system, which I'm trying to cooperate with, but also for myself. And find a system where I am finding flow more naturally, because if I'm forcing something and I'm not listening to my intuition and I'm just every day exhausted by trying to make something work, then it's not meant to be.
Right. And I think you
job.
said something really that struck me too is also realizing that situations are not happening to you. They are happening for your benefit. Like if you really believe that, all of I never would have quit my job had my job not pushed me to the point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I never would have done that. I've sort of transitioned into corporate health out of necessity because I've seen the trajectory in the fitness business and all the different options and how it's just very saturated. Had leads slowed down, acquisition costs gone up, had all those things not happened and things just been kind of slowly chugging along, I never would have probably had the courage to like rethink my whole business model and go a different direction, you know? So I think that's really kind of the kicker for me is having enough trust that if you're open, like if your mind is open and you are aware of these things and you give yourself time to process them, that you really, like, life is so endless in possibilities, and we have this just scarce mindset about what we're capable of doing. But it's all working the way that it's supposed to, you know, if we're open to it, in my opinion.
I agree with you. You know, people will say, well, what does this have to do with fitness? It's everything to do with fitness. Because
yes,
part of, you know, taking care of yourself is physical on the outside. It's lifting the weight, it's doing whatever physical activity. But if you're not mentally right on the inside, I don't care how physically well you get. It's actually, wellness is not just about being the right size and being the right BMI. Wellness is a completely inclusive, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, community-wise, and people don't think about that either. I mean, giving back to your community and volunteering is an important part of wellness. making sure that you're
Always.
part of a unit and you've got supportive friends around you that are not, there's nothing worse than being in the wrong group of friends. I've been there where I've had the wrong group of people around me and they're gossipy, they're doing stuff that's in alignment with my character. I get sucked in, to a certain degree, or I'm constantly battling not getting sucked in. That's draining. So you have all these
Right.
things that are working together to have a healthy mind, body, and spirit. The fitness piece of it is just a part of the puzzle.
Right. I mean, how many people have you talked to? I mean, Instagram is just terrible for this. Like, you will see these physiques all over the place that like have it all together, have it all together.
Right.
But a lot of the time, after the fact, you will hear the same individuals, those same individuals talk about when I was this size, when I was competing in this, I was my most unhappy, my most insecure. I
Yeah.
didn't feel like I was lean enough, I was good enough, whatever. So, I mean, I'm just really a proponent of like people doing the internal work first and
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what the hell they want. Like, what do they really want? Like, if it's really important to you to, be 6% body fat, if that is like your highest value, great. But go into that very prepared that you're going to have a very limited social life. You can't associate any value with like food for as pleasure, you're going to sacrifice a lot to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
If you know that going into it and you've made that conscious decision, fine. But I think the vast majority of people don't do that. They just and think, well, I want that, but you don't really,
Yeah. I mean,
So
I was 19% for my show a couple of weeks ago, and I need to be at 12. I mean, if I'm going to compete, right? But
yeah,
19% is like low for the average person. I mean,
yeah,
it's like that. The athletes are between 14 and 19%, right? If between
yeah.
13 and 19%, right? So I need to be like in that 12 or 13 range to be as lean as I need to be for that show. And yeah, that's a huge commitment, right? To get to that point.
Oh yeah,
But most
yeah. I was
people, if
about
you're 23%, 26% as a woman, then you're lean, right? So
right.
it's having the appropriate mindset, because it doesn't matter how thin you are if you're miserable on the inside, and it just doesn't.
Totally. And yeah, and I think when I did my competition, I think at the lowest I was just under 10, and I'm real tall too.
Right, that's super
And
lean.
I mean, there was not like we couldn't go out to eat. There, it was very limited. My husband was like, "Can I have my wife back?"
I know.
And it's
Yeah,
hard. It is
yeah.
hard. It's a commitment. And but people just see the pictures again and think, oh, well, I want that, but you don't. Like
You
mo
don't
for
really
most
want
people,
that.
that's
Yeah,
not what you want. You
yeah.
just want to feel comfortable in your own skin, and that's different for every person.
Oh, it certainly is. I wouldn't be competing right now if it was back in the 80s when I was in my 20s. You had to be 10%, and you had to be doing drugs, quite frankly,
Yeah,
in order to compete. Because if
yeah,
you weren't doing drugs and you weren't, 10%, then there was no way you were even going to step on a stage. So now there's fitness competitions that are you're allowed to have more, not allowed, but it's not like you
more
have to
acceptable,
you
natural
have body fat, right?
style,
Which is a good thing. So
right?
we're talking a little bit, talking about lifestyle choices. You and I have share something in common. We've both made a decision to not consume drugs and alcohol. We've done it for kind of
Yeah,
similar but different reasons. But when I asked you the
yeah,
kind of questions that you wanted to talk about today, you said you wanted to talk about your choice not to consume alcohol any longer. That's a really
yeah.
brilliant topic to discuss, by the way.
Thank you. I think, and my mom would be like passing out right now if she knew I was talking about this because she's, Laurel, people are going to think this or that. And really, Michelle, I think for me, I wasn't ever a really heavy drinker. I mean, it was a glass of wine or two a night, but
Mm-hmm.
it was consistent and I was white knuckling it. So I'm a very dominant, disciplined person. So the taboo idea of drinking a bottle of wine a night was like, oh no, I can never do that. But I wanted to. So
Right.
that mental battle of not doing that on a daily basis, or when you pull in the driveway and you crave it or you need that for like stress reduce to relieve stress and all that. I think there are a lot of people who are suffering from this, who are drinking too much, and don't like that about themselves, but they don't want to go to AA.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit it to anyone because it's making you vulnerable by doing that.
Yeah.
And so I've been really vocal on my social media and stuff about this, and it's really changed my life. In 7 months, I'll never drink again. It's been 7 months, and as the time goes on, you just realize, like, what did I ever this? Why did I
Shoot, you got a bad internet connection again.
think that this was the only way I could have fun? The only way that I could romantic date. It's like it's poison into our society so much to where everyone thinks they're watching or listening to this. So it's just a really big difference in my life. And for anybody that book This Naked Mind, Annie Grace, I was not planning through that book, and it talks about moderate, like in everything. I'm a terrible moderator. It's kind of off, and I just that's it. So proceed with thinking about making that choice. But that's a really good for people to check out who, maybe think that they have an issue or it's something that they struggle with.
For me, it got to that point where it's like, it just is no longer serving me. It just didn't feel like my character. Yeah, we have a little bit of a bad internet connection. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I gotcha.
Okay. You got frozen there for a couple of minutes. So our podcast will have a little bit of a blip, and our recording has a little bit of a blip. But again, we're rolling with the flow of the internet. Oh shoot! Can you hear me now? What a bummer.
There.
Yeah, I'm here.
I can't hear you.
Oh no, what a bummer.
Move around a little bit.
Where's your internet connection? Are you on Wi-Fi or are you on your?
Can't hear you, Michelle.
Shoot, bummer. Are you on Wi-Fi or are you on your computer? On your phone? Bummer. Shoot. We just lost Laurel for a second. Let's see if we can get the internet to come back on. What a bummer. So we were just talking about, there we go. I think she's back. Yay. Hello. Hey.
Man.
Yeah,
Hi.
I think you might have like a weird, are you on your phone or are you on connection or your Wi-Fi?
I'm on my phone, but I'm on the Wi-Fi at the gym. So I don't know. I think they're testing a lot of the 5G stuff around here in Phoenix, and our internet's been kind of funny.
My internet's been kind of weird lately too. My phone's been weird. I think it's because I dropped it too many times, but so while we still have that connection, a couple more minutes. For me, I got to a point where I realized that alcohol no longer served me. Like it was taking away from my life. It wasn't adding anything. And so, almost 20 years ago, on June 1st, I was 19 years sober, and I haven't missed it at all.
Me neither.
But at the same time, like I never say never, because I had no friends of mine who've been sober for 30 years and they pick up a drink again. And it doesn't go very well when you've not drank for a while and you pick up again. It's usually the story, What I do was my choice to make a decision on pruning my life back is directly related to my choice not to drink and to consume drugs or alcohol, right? When I get to a point where I realize that I'm so out of flow and I'm so stressed and I'm working so many hours and I'm not getting the results that I want, then I have to look at that and say, what's most important to me is that I'm mentally healthy. And if I'm not mentally, there's a period of time as an entrepreneur you can crazy push, but then you have to be smart enough to go, you know what? My push period, my buffer zone has been surpassed here, and I need to pull back and reacclimate and readjust so I can get back into flow where I am feeling mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically well. So part of my doing the fitness competition was about tricking myself into getting back into making time for my own fitness so that I could get myself back into flow. And in the process of doing that, I realized, wow, I need to prune. And the reason why I need to
Yeah.
prune is because I really love being sober. I really,
Yeah.
really love being sober. And I don't want to continue to put myself under so much stress that I end up picking a drink up.
Right.
Just,
Well, and the other thing too, Michelle, is like understanding, I think, as an entrepreneur, that more effort, more hours does not necessarily equate to results. It really
no.
doesn't. It's
And
looking at, those individual parts of your business and where do you tweak things and make changes.
yep.
But if you're not rested and recharged and whatever, you are not going to be effective.
If I
And I'm
find
not going to be
myself saying
effective.
to Michelle, to myself, it's time to work smarter, not harder, then I know that I've gone so far past the amount of hours I should be putting in. And it just really hit me this year when I moved into my apartment downtown that it was just time to prune. And so, I'm in the process of doing that and sharing that process on Relentless Talk Radio with health and fitness professionals and fashion and art people and other entrepreneurs and philanthropists, and where we can share that, we are human beings, not human doings.
Absolutely.
We all show up professionally to do great things, but if we don't take time out for our children, for our husband, for our health, for our fitness, to cultivate our creativity and the creative side of our life and just let our hair down and be makeup free, then what's the point of the whole thing?
So true. So true. And you will never wake up, 85 years old and be like, oh, I wish I worked some more hours. It might be the relationships that you had, the impact that you made, the fun you had, all those things. That's what I'll remember. So, I think it's hard for those of us who are grinders and we, that's just kind of your DNA, but to be aware of that, again, awareness, and put some boundaries in there for yourselves, like you're doing, it sounds like. Yeah. So that's great.
Well, Laurel, I really appreciate your time. We're going to do a visit over to your facility one of these days soon. I'm going to be reaching out to all the folks who are health and wellness professionals that are part of Relentless Talk Radio health and fitness group. You'll be posting a couple times a month in the group, and I'll be reaching out to get you on the schedule to do that. So that if you liked what you heard from Laurel, you can tune in to and join Relentless Talk Radio's health and fitness group, and you'll get a chance to hear from her and other fitness professionals about options with your health and fitness. So
awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I hope you have a really great day and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Take care. Well, everybody, Relentless Talk Radio, that's our 36th episode, I believe. And, to my point today, and I think that Laurel and I talked about it a lot, I'm going to be trying to break down the interviews a little differently moving forward. I'll usually be starting with a 10-minute kind of over topic for the interviews, and then they'll be followed by 2 interviews, either a health and fitness interview and an entrepreneur or an art and fashion interview. So I'm practicing what I preach real time on Relentless Talk Radio. And so I hope that we've given you some food for thought today about, maybe where you need to prune and how you might need to take some better care of yourself, and how maybe there's some things in your life that might need to just be shifted or changed. So I hope that you guys have a really awesome afternoon. Relentless Talk Radio is always from 2:30 to 3:30 every Tuesday here on Relentless Talk Radio. You can go to relentlesstalkradio.com and find links to YouTube and shortly to a podcast where you can listen to these recordings in your car or on your workout or on the treadmill, wherever you want. So thanks a lot, everybody. Have a really good day, and I hope to see you next week. Take care.